René Descartes proposed to doubt everything that he could possibly doubt. Now, he may have done this because he was trapped in a bakery during the 30 Years' War and had nothing else to do but hide in the oven and think. He may have done this because he was trying to solve a problem that the Catholic Church had proposed for philosophers. It may be that he genuinely wanted to find the one thing or more that he couldn't doubt. Most of us know Descartes as a mathematician. We're familiar with the Cartesian XY plane and things like that. He's showing how we can calculate lines on a graph and work formulas and demonstrate how they work. Important material. So perhaps what he was trying to do is get back to a basic set of axioms, or perhaps even one axiom from which he could deduce everything, the way Euclid did with the geometry. So he set out to doubt what he could doubt. Well, he says, I can doubt my senses. My senses often fool me. I see a stick in the water, it looks like it's bent, and when I pull it out of the water, it isn't. I go to lift up something that looks heavy, it turns out to be light, and I'm jerked back as I try to lift it. I think there's nothing in my way, and I walk into a piece of glass. Our senses can fool us, so I can doubt my senses. Well, can I doubt the workings of my mind? Well, he says, it could be that when I go to think about the world and act in the world and use my mind on the world, it could be that there is an evil genius. And this is a genius in the same sense as genie. It's a magical power that reaches into our minds and changes the way we think. Thus, in the real world and the world beyond our senses and our ability to contact even intellectually, 2 plus 2 actually equals 3. We all think it equals 4 because the evil genie makes us think so. If this is true, if the evil genie can fool us into thinking what we don't actually have as the truth in the world, then we can't trust our thought processes. Is the evil genie possible? Well, at this point, it's worth mentioning that several philosophers, including the American philosopher Charles Sanders Peirce, thought that this whole program of doubting, typically referred to as Cartesian doubt, wasn't really doubt at all. It was at best pretending to doubt, because who can really doubt that their senses are trustworthy most of the time? And when they get fooled, that's something extraordinary. Not that the senses are untrustworthy, but rather that every so often they get fooled. That evil geniuses, really Descartes, evil magical things creeping into your brain. Really? Or you're just pretending to doubt. And if you're only pretending to doubt, then what is all this stuff? This is hardly serious stuff. But Descartes maintained he really doubted, and he had real anxieties about these things. Okay, so I can't trust my senses. I can't trust the working of my mind. If I can't trust the working of my mind, what can I trust? What if I'm being fooled all the time by this evil genius? Well, if I'm being fooled, if I'm actually doubting, if I actually am having these thoughts, I am having these thoughts. I exists. Hence the expression you may have heard, I think, therefore I am. Or as we say in Latin, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Well, the great French philosopher Sartre said, nope, you didn't go far enough, son. You didn't really doubt your own existence. You could have just said, thinking is going on. After all, characters in books think or think they think. I don't know what it's called exactly, but whatever it is, what a funny thing to say, Sherlock thought. I mean, that happens, right? We've read those in books. The characters think. If the characters think, well, they don't think because they're not real. Something else thinks. It thinks for them. But thinking is going on. We can't argue that thinking isn't going on. But thinking is going on. It's what Sartre says you can say. Descartes has gone too far. He hasn't, or hasn't gone far enough, depending on how you want to look at it. He's gone too far because he goes ahead and says I exist at this point. He hasn't gone far enough because he could have gone all the way to thinking is going on. And that's all I can say. But Descartes, at this point, arrives at I think, therefore I am. Well, if I am, then I am the object of God's love and attention. If I am the object of God's love and attention, then the world is as my mind takes it in, because God would not allow me to be constantly fooled. If I am not being constantly fooled mentally, neither am I being constantly moved. Neither am I being constantly fooled about the world, the physical world around me. Thanks to my existence and God's grace, my mind and my body interact to see the world around me as one existing reality. This brings us to the call that was made by the Catholic Church for philosophers to step up. There was a movement in the church at that time that suggested that everything was going on in our minds. We're going to have a closer look at this later on. But, or you can go ahead and watch the Bishop Barclay video before we talk about this. But the idea is simply that all my perceptions are in my mind. We know I don't have vision in my eye. It's in my mind. I don't have thought processes in my ears. It's in my mind. All of my interaction with the world is in my mind. Well, then, who needs a physical being? Who needs a physical body? All I really need is a mind. Or, if you prefer, a soul. And that's what this group of people were suggesting. Now, I know you're not theology students, but just let me suggest this, that for the Catholic Church, indeed for most Christian churches, this is a huge problem. Either Jesus suffered on the cross or he didn't. Pure mind can't suffer. Pure mind, if you're pure mind, then it's all illusion, Buddhism. And it's all something you can will away. The suffering is not real. Unreal suffering does not redeem real sin. Or at least that's the position. What then? Well, Descartes, through the cogito, as we just mentioned here a second ago, introduces us to the mind being able to be trusted, and then the body being able to be trusted. He didn't say anything about My mind sees the world. He says the physical world is there. The physical world is trustworthy. The physical world is trustworthy. We know this because we've doubted everything we could doubt. We discovered that we could not doubt that we existed. We knew that if we existed, we were the object of God's love and grace, and God would see us back up to a reality of mind and body. This is typically referred to as Cartesian dualism. A mind and a body. Now, even Descartes was aware there was a problem here. How do mind and body interact? It seems as if all mental processes are mental and all physical processes are physical. How do they interact? Physical is physical, mental is mental, mental only does mental, physical only does physical. How do they interact? Well, Descartes proposed that there was some feature of the brain in which it would take place, this interaction. He proposed the pineal gland. We're pretty sure it's not the pineal gland, but the problem of trying to explain how we seem to have at least these two processes going on in our world, mental and physical, remains to this day, and we're still working on it. That gives us something to think about, something to talk about. Keep on talking philosophy.